You will never believe that something as simple as waking up at 5 o'clock IE could completely transform your life, your spirit, and even the destiny of your family. But it's true. Many of us assume that prayer can happen at any time of day, and of course, it can. God is not bound by time. But why is it that the saints, the hermits, and those who live consecrated lives have always chosen this specific hour? Why is 5 o'clock IM a sacred time mentioned again and again in spiritual writings from the Old Testament to today? 5 o'clock IM is not just a quiet moment. It is the hour when the earth is still covered in dew, the whole world sleeps. Your mind hasn't yet been crowded by noise, deadlines, social media, or the anxieties of everyday life. 5 o'clock Ayimam is the purest moment of the day, a time suspended between the end of night and in that sacred in-between. If you pause and listen, you'll hear the gentle voice of God calling you, "Rise, my beloved. I want to speak with you." Some may ask, why 5 o'clock? Why not 7 o'clock after breakfast when the body is refreshed and ready? What they don't understand is this. It's the sacrifice of sleep, the choice to put God before your own comfort, the act of rising while others are still in bed. That is the mark of a truly loving heart. God doesn't ask for perfection, but He treasures a heart that burns with devotion. And heaven does not ignore a soul that seeks Him early. Picture yourself stepping out onto the balcony while it's still dark. The leaves are wet with dew. The birds have not yet begun to sing. The world is still asleep, and there you are, alone with God. Just whisper something simple. "Lord, I'm here." No eloquence needed, no preparation, just your presence. That's all He asks, because He's been waiting for you. Long before you opened your eyes, He was already there, waiting in the silence. When you choose to give Him the first moment of your day, He will spend the rest of that day guiding you, protecting you, and pouring out grace upon you. But 5 o'clock a.m. is more than just stillness. It is a moment of spiritual power. It's the hour when saints have encountered the divine. Saint Faustina met Jesus at dawn. Padre Pio would rise at 4 o'clock a.m. to begin his prayers, knowing God gives special graces to the soul that seeks Him before the sun rises. And even Jesus Himself, Scripture tells us, would rise early, climb the mountain, and pray alone with the Father, far from the crowds. This is not a coincidence. It is a spiritual principle. Do you ever feel like time is slipping away from you? That no matter how hard you try, peace still feels out of reach? Do you feel like you make the perfect plans, yet life keeps throwing you off balance? Maybe, just maybe, what's missing is that sacred hour at 5 o'clock a.m. An hour where you ask for nothing, complain about nothing, but simply sit in the presence of God and let Him do the rest. You may wonder, what actually happens when you wake up and pray at 5 o'clock Ayima? Is it just the silence that makes it powerful, or is there something deeper happening in the unseen? The answer is both practical and profoundly spiritual. At 5 o'clock Ayima, your mind has not yet been flooded by the demands of the world. Your body is vulnerable, your heart is soft, and your spirit, if you listen, is open. This is the exact posture heaven responds to. It's not about performance, it's about presence. Not how eloquently you speak, but how sincerely you show up. And when you do, something begins to shift. You don't always notice it on the first day or even the second, but keep coming, keep showing up at this sacred hour, and you will begin to feel it. Your thoughts become clearer, your peace lasts longer, your reactions are gentler. Your soul begins to receive what it truly longs for. Not noise, not answers, but communion. This hour is not magic, but it is sacred. Because it is set apart. Not many are willing to give it to God, but those who do, those who rise before the sun and lift their hearts toward heaven are never the same. Think of Moses on the mountain, waking before the camp stirred to meet with the Lord face to face. Think of David, writing psalms in the early watches of the morning, pouring out his longing and praise. Think of Jesus, retreating into the hills, even while it was still dark, to pray. He didn't do this because he needed strength. He did it to show us where strength is found. There's a secret hidden in the morning hours, not because they are easier, but because they are harder. To wake at 5:00 a.m. is to wrestle your comfort and tell your body, you are not in charge today, my spirit leads. And that one decision sets the tone for everything that follows. You begin your day not in chaos, but in clarity, not in fear, but in faith, not chasing the world, but walking with the Lord. And perhaps that's the shift you've been praying for without realizing it. Not a change in your situation, but a change in how you start it. You see, God doesn't need your morning, but He desires it. Because when you give Him the first part of your day, you're not just giving time, you're giving trust. You're saying, before I look at a screen, before I answer a call, before I step into the stress, I step into your presence. And that right there is where the difference begins. It is not a ritual. It is not a routine. It is a relationship, and relationships are built in the quiet. You will not believe what begins to change when you truly give God your 5:00 a.m. It's not just that you become more peaceful, more focused, or more organized, though all of those things may come. What changes most is something the world cannot measure. It is your alignment with God's will. You start noticing things you never saw before. That moment of anger that once exploded into harsh words, now it pauses. You breathe. You hear the whisper, "Let me speak for you." And you let Him, that anxiety that used to wake you up in the night, it still knocks, but now it finds you already resting in the arms of the One who holds tomorrow. Even your thoughts begin to bend toward heaven. You start each day with truths, so the lies of the enemy begin to lose their grip. You hear yourself saying things like, "God is for me. I trust His way. I know He's already gone ahead of me." And you mean it. Because at 5:00 a.m., when no one else is watching, when no one else is applauding, you've already won the greatest battle, the one inside your heart. You chose light over sleep. You chose stillness over scrolling. You chose surrender over control. And the heavens noticed. You didn't do it to earn love. You did it because you tasted it. You realize that when God meets you in that early hour, He doesn't come with judgment. He comes with arms wide open. He listens. He speaks. He softens. He strengthens. It is no small thing to say yes to God while the rest of the world says later. And the fruit of that yes, it grows quietly at first. A little more patience with your children, a little more gentleness with your spouse, a little more peace in the way you face your day. But then, slowly, it becomes something others can see. They ask, "What's changed in you?" And you smile, not because you're trying to impress, but because you know the answer is not a what, it's a who. He is the one who met you in the stillness, the one who heard your quiet prayers and turned them into holy strength, the one who rewrote your morning routine into a sacred meeting. This is what it means to walk with God. Not just in church, not just in crisis, but in the ordinary early hours of the day when no one else sees, but heaven does. And maybe that's the most powerful part of all. Not the discipline, not the results, but the relationship that is slowly being restored, rebuilt, and revived. One morning at a time. You've heard the stories, you've felt the stirring, and now you're at the threshold. So what happens when you actually begin to meet God at 5 o'clock a.m., not just once, not just on Sundays, but as a rhythm of your life? Here's the truth most people won't tell you. It's not always fireworks. Sometimes it's just sitting in silence. Sometimes it's tears rolling down your face for no clear reason. Other times it's a deep peace that makes no logical sense. But every single time, God shows up. And here's the mystery. He doesn't always change your situation. And that shift, that inner reorientation, is what alters everything else. The reason 5 o'clock a.m. is powerful is not only because of its stillness, its biblical significance, or even the fact that your mind is most quiet then. It's powerful because it becomes sacred through consistency. The more you return, the more that altar is built in your spirit. The more you sit with Him, the more heaven invades your reality. You stop reacting to life and begin responding through grace. You stop rushing and begin discerning. You stop panicking and begin trusting. At 5 o'clock a.m., it's not about checking off a spiritual box. It's about surrendering to a holy moment before the chaos begins. It's about saying, before the world speaks to me, I want to hear your voice first. That act alone transforms your entire day. Imagine walking into traffic with the assurance that heaven walks with you. Imagine sitting in that meeting, facing that difficult family conversation, or dealing with the same struggle. But this time, you're not alone. You've already met with God, and He's already gone ahead of you. You see, what you do at 5 o'clock a.m. doesn't stay at 5 o'clock a.m. It spills over into 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, noon, and midnight. It rewires your internal compass. It becomes the breath beneath your words, the peace in your responses, the fire in your purpose. You start living from the inside out, not the outside in. That's what it means to carry the presence of God. That's why saints through the ages rose before the sun. Not because they had superhuman discipline, but because they had discovered the divine secret of early surrender. So what do you say to someone still unsure? Maybe that someone is you. You've heard all this, but your mind still whispers doubts. I'm not spiritual enough. I'm too busy. I've tried and failed before. Let me tell you something you need to hear. God is not grading your performance. He's inviting you into His presence. He's not waiting to be impressed, he's waiting to be invited. And no matter how many times you've hit snooze, today is always a good day to start again. Don't overthink it. You don't need perfect words or a 3-hour ritual. You just need a willing heart. A few minutes of attention can shift your atmosphere. One scripture, one whispered prayer, one moment of stillness. Start there. And come back tomorrow. Let 5:00 a.m. become your sacred meeting place. So tomorrow, when the alarm goes off and the sky is still dark, don't groan, don't roll over. Instead, remember this: the King of Kings is already awake, waiting for you, not with condemnation, but with compassion, not to lecture you, but to love you. He knows what you'll face today, he sees what's coming, and he simply wants to walk with you through it all. That's the power of 5:00 a.m. It's not about waking up, it's about rising up. Rising into who you truly are in him, rising above distraction, discouragement, and delay, rising to seek first the kingdom before everything else demands your attention. So go ahead, set your alarm, prepare your heart, because heaven has something to say, and 5:00 a.m. is when the volume is turned up. The quiet becomes thunderous, the small voice becomes undeniable, and your ordinary room becomes holy ground. Will you meet him there?